Hello, Bible readers. It's Tuesday, April 27th. We're reading from Jeremiah chapters 23 to 26 and Hebrews chapter 8 to chapter 9, verse 10. High priest, new Melchizedek, Jesus. What does that mean? Yesterday I got into it a little bit, but we get into particularly what Hebrews is speaking to today. Jesus has a different sanctuary than a typical priest, a new covenant as compared to the old one that Levitical priests would have been working from. In fact, with this new covenant, Hebrews says the old one is obsolete and will soon disappear. I feel like it's a little different than saying Jesus is a fulfillment of the law and we're not getting rid of the law. And this is speaking to a covenant that is being, obsolete and will soon disappear. Of course, Hebrews is quoting Jeremiah, chapter 34, verses 31 to 34, and that's why we're reading from Jeremiah as we read Hebrews. The point Hebrews is trying to get at is the same point Jeremiah was prophesying hundreds of years before Jesus, and that is that the new covenant will be written on our hearts and that the forgiveness of sin will be real with this new covenant, with a new Melchizedek. In Jeremiah, we pick up with the kings and prophets section. The oracles here are all about the relationship between kings and justice. The assertion here is that you can't have one without the other. A king without justice is just some guy taking everybody's money and pretending to have power. So how do you determine whether justice is occurring, you may wonder? What are the measurements? Where's the bar? The question Jeremiah asks over and over is, how are the weakest members of society doing? That's the simplest and most important test. How are the widows, the orphans, the aliens, the sick? How are they being treated? How are they being included? Leaders are to be held responsible for the level of inclusion that those on the margins are experiencing. Jehoiakim, his big house, his big expansive mansion, exposes his greed while wealth is being kept from so many. So that's Jeremiah's assertion about kings. Then Jeremiah turns to prophets and what makes a prophet a false prophet. The whole idea that we, and this is what many prophets say, can't be as bad as them, whoever they are, that's what Jeremiah is railing against. Judah's prophets would oftentimes look north at Israel. Remember, Israel was the northern kingdom, Judah is the southern kingdom. And many times Judah's prophets would look north and say, well, at least we're not that bad, right? And then they'd point at them saying, that's wrong, and you'll judgment against that, judgment against that. What Jeremiah is saying, it's a lot like when Jesus will say, don't point out the log in your neighbor's eye when you've got one in your own eye. In chapter 25, Jeremiah presents a history of Judah, and it's notable since we've read 1st and 2nd Chronicles, 1st and 2nd Kings, that he presents a history of Judah without mentioning really anything faithful. As we think back to Kings and Chronicles, it was a lot of not good, but there was Josiah and Hezekiah. They were reformers. They still got some stuff wrong, but they reformed things, renewed things. They're not remembered in Jeremiah's history here. And so, as our readings kind of end for today, a cup of wrath it shall be. I am one with my God. My God is with us, all of us, at all times and in all places.